Welcome, everyone. This is a full moon and Scorpio transmission. It's also going to be a bit of a reading for the four elemental signs towards the end. And if you're new here, my name is Stephanie. I'm Shamanic High Priestess on IG, divine.cosmic.empress. And as an energy healer, shamanic practitioner, intuitive. I help those who are here in this lifetime really integrate their past lives, their soul's gifts, and help them to step out into this lifetime now. And I work with the energies and spirits in terms of the planets, the stars, the elements, and also spirits in the different quantum realms. And so, welcome today. We're going to actually begin with a bit of what's been coming through recently in terms of the energy for this full moon, and especially as we're ending the initiation of the eclipse season, and also in literally on the 25th, we have Mercury going direct, which will be in the shadow period for like another 2 weeks. So about mid-May is when you'll start seeing a bit more like clear direction, and the energies encourage us at that point to really begin then to take action and momentum of what we've had this whole past month since March, back in eclipse season and that beginning, to really reflect what needed to be shed away and what is being called to step into. And so, a couple of things going into this week. Not only did we just have the conjunction of Taurus and Uranus and Jupiter in Taurus, and this is something that I've personally been waiting for about like a year plus, especially because um, if your ruling planet is Jupiter, you feel that excitement, you felt the energy for a while now at this point. And so, even just starting from that point, we have this big energy, Jupiter's expansion. It is one of the benefic planets, including Venus, where it's about expansion, also exploration, wisdom, transformation. It's a energy that showers blessings upon us, right? Abundance. And yeah, at the same time, we have Uranus, that sign of just like unexpected, I would say U-turns or unexpected circumstances coming up for us for change that are necessary in order for expansion to happen, right? This happens to be in smack dab in the sign of Taurus, which is that like earthy grounding energy that tends to be stubborn, but also it is sturdy. It likes comfort. It doesn't really necessarily, as a stubborn energy, like change, right? And so you have these intermingling of these energies, and the conjunction really showed forth, or what is coming forward again when you have the meeting of planets, the outer planets. It's not that it's an instant quantum shift, it is a gradual progression that's going to be happening in the next couple months, years, right? Especially because the Jupiter's transit happens longer period than what you would expect for, say, like a moon cycle, which is about 30 days. And so look at the areas of your life where Taurus is, where, obviously Jupiter and Uranus will be. This is probably going to highlight where the major changes are happening forward for you. And now, when I was looking into the stars, we have this full moon in Scorpio. And so when we paint the landscape, Scorpio is that really deep transformational energy. It is a water sign ruled by the planet Mars and Pluto. Pluto is that death, rebirth. It is the dark, also aspect of what calls to us. And yet at the same time, sometimes it's like it's taboo, right? And so Scorpio loves and feels comfortable with the occult, right? With those things that we don't normally talk about. Say the esoteric wisdom teachings, mysticism, death, rebirth, beauty, sex, magic, money, power. In the shadow aspect, what happens with Scorpio is it has a powerful sting. When we talk about power and what's coming up with the full moon, especially as it's still Mercury in retrograde as well, we are going to be having emotions. You're going maybe in the past couple of weeks, the past couple of days, and the days after, about 3 days after this, the 23rd of April, which is the full moon in Scorpio, you'll be having these peaks coming up, right? For you. And the thing is, a healthy Scorpio or the light aspect of that Scorpio will allow yourself to surrender, knowing that in order to rise to the phoenix, because one of the archetypes of Scorpio is the phoenix, it is a scorpion energy, and it is also at the highest we have the eagle. And in order to rise up as a phoenix, to rise up into the fullness of who you are and your power and a healthy energy, you have to be willing to shed, to fall into the ashes, to transform, to go from the caterpillar to the cocoon to the metamorphosis of the butterfly. And when you don't allow the emotions and what's coming up for you to rise up, to be alchemized into the light of what it's wanting to shine forth for you at the time, you're resisting it. It's going to be harder. You're going to feel it more, a bit more harder to go through physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And so that's why it's really important to allow yourself to nurture yourself, being in Taurus, in a state environments that help you feel safe, nurtured, supported. And think about when we look at Taurus energy, okay, we have the Scorpio in this Taurus sign, which is about comfort. Ruled by Venus, it is about money, abundance, beauty, love, friendships, right? And now what you want to do, it's like, okay, wherever my Taurus is, whatever house it is, this is where the transformation of where have I given my power away? When you look at the emotions coming up, the shadow side of the Scorpio, where am I not stepping into my power? What is it that I have maybe fallen off of and need to get back on track in order to maintain my energy, to maintain my grounding on the earth, to maintain my morals and values and what's important to me? And when we talk about like power, you're leading yourself. And so you're probably going to be experiencing wounds in those themes of your life where you're giving your power away. You need to come back into, and because it's Mercury retrograde, a lot of things are coming back for you to look at a deeper level. And so it could be relationships, be it, old romantic ones, maybe family ones, maybe your relationship with money or money that you owe somebody or someone owns you, right? Um, as well as like career, bosses, coworkers, etc. And so don't fret, don't resist it, don't like go crazy and think that you're going mad. No, it's just a lesson. It's important to just be observant of what's coming forward and to have a state of detachment. Because the moment you feed into the emotions and the triggers and the identification of the stories that are coming up, that's when you tend to lose yourself, you lose your footing. And it's always best to hold that higher perspective of the ego, where you are seeing what's coming up. And then as a conscious observer, you are able to tune in and stay connected to your channel as an intuitive, as a oracle, as an empath, a highly sensitive person. Because the more you can keep your channel clear from stress, from fear, from all these stories that keep you out of the present moment, the more you're not able to, again, receive the wisdom of what the lesson is at this point for you. And I love to show stories because I think that really helps you to begin to like think about in your mind what's going on in your life. So think about the theme that's coming up. And me in particular, it was a theme about like self-worth, as well as where that was being applied to in terms of my career or relationships with working with others, and where I was feeling feelings of low self-worth, low self-esteem. Up to this point, I've been fine. It's been Aries season, etc. Right? But now the moons and the shadows are coming up to look at it from a different level. What is it, especially with the eclipse season, that I did not maybe really look at the season before? I did not take action on. I did not really, maybe I need another layer of healing and perspective shift in order for me to, okay, this is what I need to take action on. This is the lesson that's coming up. It's not because I did something wrong, um, when you called something forward, right? It's just a lesson that really ultimately you give it meaning to, right? And so the more neutral you can stay with it, the more you allow the alchemization from the fire and the shadow side to be transformed into the light. And so that is the energy of Scorpio, of this healing that's coming forward. Another note with Scorpio, it is the deep waters of the shadows of the human experience. It is your life journey. And when you think about the soul journey path, you can think about this like whole beautiful, this movement of a circle moving forward. That's what I'm seeing. And the external is like, okay, this is the outer shell of our lives. We think about a spiral and it's going inward. And the outer shell is the human experience, the ego, the shedding, until you get down to the inner layer within the onion of your spirit and your soul and your truth. And Scorpio is all about that passion, the deep intuitive and desire to serve, to be in your purpose, to be in your destiny. So that kind of makes sense with the eclipse, where the things that have been coming up are meant to nudge you back into direction in alignment to your soul's path and journey. And Mercury in retrograde is the mental aspect of what needed to be shifted, perspective, especially being in the sign of Aries, for you to be able to take action as your own leader. And this goes back to power. And so with full moons, the energy lasts about 2 weeks. Also look at where your Aries is, because that's where the new moon was recently. And that's where you will feel like a sort of tug and war between these two aspects of your life, and what you need to do to find balance. Because the sun is the ego forward shining, the moon is the emotions. And so what you're going through internally is hopefully what you're going to be able to step into for, which is the new moon sign in Aries. So look at that for yourself, and really tune in. Other things and turns that were coming up: leadership, where in your life, Hmm. especially when we talk about self-worth, because that's Taurus, pleasure, right? You nurture yourself and you have a level of self-esteem, self-worth, self-value for yourself. That's why you invest. And when you don't invest, when you're too scared to invest in the things that feel good for you, whatever that may be, say also another note is something you said that you were going to do But many times you did not take the initiative to lead yourself through it, to see your word through. And why is that? Is that because you didn't fully believe in it? Is that because you don't believe in yourself? You don't believe in your gifts? Or, and also think about it, do you need somebody else to whiplash you, to be by your side, micromanaging everything, to motivate you to take action? And why? Why should there be someone there? Because it is something of your own desire, your own heart to move forward and step into. That spirit is giving you to realize, to take responsibility of, and as a good, um, as a good, I want to say tither, but it's not tither. It's like when in the Bible, God, and this has been like a recent and most repetitive lesson coming forward. When God gave the three men their own divided like investments to do with it, right? What they desired. And the one who was given, well, each one was given the same one, but there was one who didn't invest at all. He didn't think he could make anything out of it, so he just dug it into the earth, forgot about it. The other one made some return, he did some work. And kind of think of the image of somebody diving in their toes into the water and then coming back out of it. And then the other one really multiplied it and used everything that he was allotted with and really took it all the way home, right? And for that, God was really proud of that, right? And so there's this essence, it's like, especially with this transformation and what's coming forward with these shifts on your soul's trajectory and path, what are new ways and new perspectives that you're being shown to try a different way? Maybe certain things have to be let go because it's outdated, right? Maybe the method is no longer going to be applying to you. And also, there's an essence that I keep getting of like not giving up of the dream vision that's perhaps transformed. And you can kind of think about moments in your life where, and this is eclipse energy, where you have a soul's trajectory, you have a path, you have the greater plan from the universe, divine order, right? That you came into this lifetime reincarnated to explore. And yet, during our life's journey, because we get distracted, maybe because of ego and our old limiting beliefs, that's the other thing, limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves or that we picked up through childhood and generational beliefs and traumas and societal, all this noise, we get distracted. We veer off the path. We go after something we thought we wanted, we thought we had to, but it's really coming back to what is innately why, what fuels you, what's going to help you sustain that inner fire through earth energy towards, and then Gemini, and then the water and Cancer afterwards, and then all the way throughout the whole astrological year, right? Because there's going to be so much changes and transformation, and there's going to be an essence that's going to carry you forward, your evolution. Hmm. And with that in mind, anything else I want to go through? Forgiveness, grace, especially with the new moon that was in Aries. Aries is this like playful nature. It is going to take action. It is initiative. Usually, especially with emotions arising, another thing to bear in mind with the Mars ruling planet energy is, remain cool. Try not to pick a fight so easily just because it's coming up. Integrity is important. That I read something today that invest in the things that people cannot take away from you, and that's your characters, that's your integrity, that's your morals, your values. That is how you show up. Don't give that. That's another way of giving your power away. When you let someone else's situation, their circumstances, their actions dictate how you show up and respond. And pleasure means investing in yourself, having fun. Don't be so serious on the spiritual path. We all need this reminder. And because this is earth energy that we're in, and balancing the new moon in Aries, wherever that lays for you, it's important to move and to get into your body, because it is in this physical experience how you know what feels good through the physical senses, right? The taste, touch, experience, smell, hearing. And the more you hold grace for yourself, the more you can laugh at the mistakes and just realize, okay, I'm just having a human experience. And you know what? It's okay. Because sometimes we've been so, some of us are, have been conditioned to live out of fear that we don't take that action. We think we need to see the vision beforehand in order and have the plan fully laid out before we take action. But again, on the spirit path, you want to take that encouragement of that Aries initiating energy to move first, right? To move by passion versus by just doing something mindlessly, doing something because that's the way you've been doing it. But remember, overall Jupiter energy and expansion says that you won't have change in abundance and those golden door opportunities unless you do something new and take the action too. And so that is the major overarching energy for the collective. If anything comes through as we go through a couple readings for everyone, I'll share. And so what we're going to go now is we're going to shift into a 2-card pulled reading for each elemental sign. And if you're new to astrology, I will lead us through that. No worries. And we're going to start with the fire signs. And the fire signs include your rising, or if you don't know your rising, sun, in Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. So Aries rising will be in your 8th house. Leo will be in your 4th house, and Sagittarius is in your 12th house. So that's where the full moon Scorpio is showing up for you. So I encourage you to look that up. And as always, you can always feel free to go on to the details down below in the video, link in my bio for the astrology readings that I offer that go on the new moon and full moon energy for the season month so that you can get a more personal perspective of what to look at in terms of themes that might be coming up for you, as well as suggestions, guided, intuitive spirit messages for you. And so as I am shuffling, and we're going to see what's going to come up for us here. Remember, fire signs is that passion, right? The drive. And Aries is that big, like explosive energy. Sagittarius is like that mutable energy, flexible in its approach, always wanting to learn and pick from different things. Leo is that fixed, shining brightly like the spotlight on stage. We all have fire, we all have these signs. So you can feel free to tune in to this particular section or feel free to skip over to the one that resonates, that is for you and your rising sun sign. And so while we're shuffling, feel free to take a deep breath in through the nose just so we can clear our mind. And opening up the mouth and exhaling. And taking another round of breath. And breathing out. And so, Spirit, I ask that we receive the message, the guidance of it when to come through. There is during this time for each and every one of us. That we take that action as we allow ourselves to also surrender. Surrendering to what needs to be let go. And in particular, today's 2-card pull for every elemental sign is going to be one, which I thought was fitting for this energy. And Scorpio is the Tim Burton's Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck. And this, I like it. It's like dark energy is what I was feeling the pull to go to. And then we also have an oracle deck, which we'll pull from, and that's actually going to be the Moonology deck by Yasmin Boland. And this is the original one, the first edition that she had released. Okay. And so with the tarot, okay. So the tarot we have here for the fire signs, this is a page of candles. Funny thing is, the candles is a fire sign energy. And then you see this little goblin is holding a wick, one candle, leading its way. Here I see that it's almost like he's holding the candle. He's like shifting his eyes, almost like a little weary in terms of like where he's going, because it doesn't feel like the path is fully clear. The thing about the page energy, it's like you're this new beginning. Yeah. This new beginning, maybe you feel like you're a new student all over again. And you're so used to being a master at your craft, or you have so much familiarity. You've been on maybe a career path or level of experience for a while now. You're comfortable, but you're being encouraged to step forward into the new. And I always say in every aspect of life, no matter how much experience you have, don't stop learning. You're always going to be a student at some cycle season of your life. And this is it. It's important for you to go forward with that level of energy of curiosity and again, grace, because oftentimes doing new things isn't easy. And also, what happens when you're doing new things, it can be frustrating. So think about fire energy. It's like, oh, it's frustrating because I'm not getting it right the first time, and that's why it's always important to hold yourself in that light, literally, as as much as you would hold anyone's light for them, right? Giving them grace for what they're exploring and what they're experiencing in terms of emotions. And as opposed to just two, it's going to be 3 cards. With the Moon Oracle deck, we have a full moon eclipse. Conclusions are within reach. This one, it's a blood moon up in the background. And if this is a full moon eclipse, okay, you're stepping forward as things are moving away. Conclusions are within reach. Karmically, the eclipses will show an ending and a beginning, right? A new start. And so that could be end of karmic cycles, end of karmic patterns that have held you back from fully up leveling to the next level of fullest expression that you're fully capable of. You have the full moon in Aquarius, another full moon energy. Show the world the real you. It is time for you to show the world the real you. Aquarius is that collective energy, the air sign. It is that unique energy ruled by Uranus. As you walk yourself through on this journey in this path, you find that as you let go and get comfortable with the uncomfortable, embracing your uniqueness, and really that's what you're stepping into now at this point. It's going to be a fuller expression of who you are that yet you maybe didn't even realize you had. It's an aspect of your life, and that's why I feel so uncomfortable, because it doesn't feel like this shoe fits, right? It doesn't feel like or look like, or I didn't think that this is something I could be capable of. But again, fire energy and Scorpio, step into your power. See yourself, spend time and feeling that embodiment of the vision of what could be. And just look at the contrast of what's coming out for you, the resistances, and realize, look at the polar opposite of what it could be. Spirit is telling you that, for example, maybe you're struggling to lead a group, and maybe the opposite is because this is your time to learn the lessons of becoming a leader, learning how to lead a group, right? As an example. And then we have all full moons at this point. The last one is a personal issue reaches its resolution. And this is the full moon in Cancer. And so, again, it's all about emotions, which honestly, it's encouraging. And also at the same time, we have about almost every element here: air, water, and fire. And the good thing is you're in Earth, you're in air season, right? And personal issues is why I say it's a good thing that, hey, at least it's something internal that you need to alchemize and to work through. And because the more you lessen the resistance, you allow yourself to spend time in solitude and reflect, write down the situation on paper, what's been coming up for you, what's been um, challenging for you emotionally. Maybe you've been reacting first out of fire energy and just triggers, right? Responses, but then alchemize it in terms of the mental aspect, and then feel into it and your emotions, and realize that, okay, is it maybe bottom line, I'm feeling this like abandonment wound. I'm feeling fear about being judged, or maybe I can't lead, is what I'm thinking, what I'm feeling. And then allow yourself to move it, allow yourself to process it in a way so you can release that. And if we're doing it with the fire, write it down on paper, light it up, burn it, do a fire ceremony. And that is the energy of what I'm getting for fire signs. Again, apply that message to your particular sign in your house and take what serves you, what resonates. And now for the water signs, I just went ahead and shuffled and cleared everything. The water signs are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. Cancer, you have your full moon in Scorpio in the 5th house. Scorpio, it is in your 1st house. And then we have Pisces in the 9th house. The first card that came through for the tarot is the King of Potions. And I kid you not, I promise I shuffled them. And so I say that because potions is cups in this deck. And so you are the king of your emotions right now. Literally feel like he's grabbing this, almost having fun with it, like a banjo instrument type of vibe. I feel like he's having fun, or at least you're in the brink of having fun ownership where you are. Curious with that one eye wink. We have the full moon in Sagittarius. Look at the bigger picture. So full moon in Sagittarius. Sagittarius is the wanderer, wisdom, expansion, ruled by the planet Jupiter. Once you get past your emotions, you're able to see clearly. You're able to move forward with a different perspective that honestly really impacts how you actually see things. Sagittarius is that energy where if you're moving through things that have maybe clouded your perspective from being the king, right? From being this master in which the master that you could be well known for, then perhaps this is a different light that's coming through. Deeper teachings that you're learning, modalities coming forward, and all of it so that you are stepping out of your comfort zone. This is the North Node. And so the North Node is that star. It is that sign in our charts that you are, whether you know it or not, consciously or aware of it, you are always being led on your soul's path. No matter what you experience in your life and your soul's trajectory, just like this path right here that you can see up in the stars, that line is subtle and invisible to you, but it's calling you always. So no matter what you go through in your experience, emotions, what you go and experience physically, it's ultimately always leading you to the highest North Star. And so by helping you to get out of your comfort zone, you gain new experiences that will feel different, but ultimately you're going to come out on top holding that jar of potions. And you're going through a powerful, powerful change. And it's funny because in the fire reading, we had the full moon eclipse, and now we have the new moon eclipse. So that's nice. So new beginnings. Expect powerful change. And when you look at the whole story overall, you're being led on your path, having fun, and then you're going through a powerful change. And I find like a sense of mastery, which oftentimes, sometimes it doesn't feel like that for a water sign because you feel deeply, right? Your lens of the world is perhaps more empath, right? You're able to, you maybe sometimes get drowned and lost in the waters because, water's really just like all one state. It's all blended together. But you're the one who's able to navigate this with the arrow, shooting towards the North Node, gaining you deeper wisdom. And I'm actually going to explore a little bit more here with looking at the bigger picture with this energy of Sagittarius. Are you thinking too much about the details of your dilemma? Fretting over minute, every little detail can be counterproductive. Or perhaps you're being all talk and no action. This card is a reminder that while it's good to think things through, sometimes you need to step back and look at the bigger picture. What do you see when you see about your current situation? What's the most positive thought that you can have about it? How can you tie this back in to the biggest aspect that this is leading you on your soul's path ultimately, even though you are in the middle of writing your chapter? Now is the time to count your blessings, even if you don't yet have exactly what you want. This card is also a reminder that we often have to take a few risks and go with uncertainty on this journey called life. Try to keep an open mind about what's for the best. The universe could surprise you. Take time out for a mini break or adventure. Additional meanings include that the situation may have come around because you've been distracted. And be confident. Have you shown that you care? If not, now's the time, and find a balance between speaking your mind and saying too much. The full moon in Sagittarius is a time when we are reminded that life is an adventure and there's a big wide world to see beyond our backyard. It's about having fun and being prepared to sail into the uncharted territory. It's about big ideas versus the details. No matter when you draw this card, it encourages you to look at the bigger picture. And this goes back to, in order being the king of emotions and the king of potions, when the king is on the throne, he's able to see things. So this is you looking back with a different perspective. If you're able to just step back with it, right? Let go of the reins. Get creative in the thinking of how ultimately everything that's led you um, through up to this point has led you to even some small bit, something to be grateful for, a lesson that you've learned, even an experience so that you can be changed from within. Because ultimately, this is a new chapter of your life. And this is one that I feel like you're going to go forward with like more sense of control, not like in the negative aspect, like, oh, I'm fearing and I'm trying to control the situation. But no, I feel it's like um more sense of maturity that you're coming forward in, that you're being led to step out, and you are. Um, and that's powerful in itself. And ultimately, maybe you've been questioning your authority or the power that you do hold. Sometimes we can wobble in the waves and get lost in the oceans, right? But I think ultimately the fact that you're able to come out on top as this king here, potions, says everything. That says that you're coming into self-mastery. Remember, you already have all the skills. You've been working on the potion for a while, right? And allow yourself just to evolve. You already have the tools within to take that next leap in the next chapter of your life. And again, apply that to your respective house and your sign and what comes up for you. All right, so this is now the reading for the air signs. And air, we have Gemini, where you will be having your full moon in Scorpio in your sixth house. Libra, it is your second house. And Aquarius, it is your 10th house. And so, interestingly enough, so far, I've had almost every element. The initial tarot card happens to be that respective element. I was seeing a second card that came through, and it did, and we'll go in. The first tarot card we have Sally, and this is the Nine of Needles. So needles is here the element of air representation, which is the mental state. It is what you've currently been going through, and you can see that she's been struggling. She's pulling. She's trying to fix something. She's trying to hold herself together, and she's really focused. You could see, and you can literally see the insides, maybe leaves blowing in the wind. So maybe something feels like it's have has been coming out of hand, out of your own control, and but you're trying to keep it together. So for that, they applaud you. For keeping sometimes when you go through things mentally and stability, it can be challenging, and yet you could also show yourself your strength because you're navigating it. Something could be mentally feel like it is taking precipice in your life, major space in your life, and yet you're still able to show up. You're still able to show face. You're still able to not to react triggering with everyone in the world. And that means like you're still holding on, you still have your shit together. And exploring that, the and actually I apologize. It's not the Nine of Needles, it's the eight. Okay. And that's where we get the energy from. Eight of Needles, Roman numbers. So the Eight of Needles upright represents the feeling of restriction. Have hope. All's not lost. Even if you're feeling trapped or stifled and life seems to be unraveling at the seams, remember that you have the power to free yourself of what's holding you back and stitch yourself back together. I literally saw a second tarot card and I was thinking earth energy. So gifts is usually presence in this deck. In this case, it is the nine, the nine of presence. So that represents the earth energy, what typically you see the coin in the tarot. And so holding it side by side, and this is how I like to see my readings come through. It's like a story. Um, you are currently navigating something, but just know at the other side, there's your gift, there's your blessings, there is something coming forward in abundance. When you struggle through something and you can navigate it through, you've put so much effort, so much work, so much blood, sweat, and tears behind closed doors. You felt all the fears coming up and you felt overwhelmed. And yet, when you really transverse and go through it all, and you get to the other side, you get to your blessing and you find the reward. That's the word. The reward that comes up because of the hard work you know that you put forward, and you don't need anyone else to validate that for you because there's a level of satisfaction that comes forward and comes through when you know that you did it, because that shows you that you could. Now, with the Oracle deck that comes forward, the first card, conclusions are within reach. And this is actually the first, this is the first card that came through for the fire signs. And so we have the full moon eclipse, and the struggle that you're going through is going to come to an end. There's an up level. I feel like all these obstacles of trees were in the way from you seeing the light and really getting to that, like that peak, the fullness, the blood moon that you see here, blood, sweat, and tears. It's ending. So don't give up. Don't give up when you're so close, when you've already done a lot of the work. Usually when we want to give up, It's a mental thing more than anything. Like when you go sit down for a tattoo, depending on how big it is, right? How much shading is involved in the very beginning. Oh, I'm gung ho, let's go. I'm excited. But it's a mental game. So what you've been going through has been a mental game, but just know, rest assured that it is ending karmically with an eclipse energy. It is releasing. You taking yourself through this point of the journey, keep going, continue to remain focused. And new moon in Sagittarius is focused energy. You can see with the arrow shooting up to the dark moon. Dark moon is planting of new seeds. If you held these together, okay, maybe this way, you could visualize like she has the arrow in her hand. Ooh, right? And again, it's this expansion. It is a new trajectory. Luck is on your side, is what it is saying. So, but know that your reward is here. Know that Jupiter is on your side. Know that the work that you had to go through and navigate and the emotions, especially for an air sign. I'm also an aqua, so and not very emotional. Um, Most times our biggest obstacle is the mental state, right? It is what we have to navigate through. And so let that motivate you. Let that continue to be your light. Let that continue to I'm thinking back on the reading for the water signs, they had the North Node. Let that be your guiding star. Again, celebrate. Sometimes we don't give ourselves enough credit with how strong we are. And there's an essence with the new moon and Sagittarius. What is it, if you could, take a moment from your mental chatter of like self-doubt and deprivation, because we can be harder on ourselves, um, to think about, get creative, imaginate, imagine um, the new vision that you want to up level to. It doesn't matter how it sounds like, okay? Let go of perfection with the air. That it has to be this metal energy of like perfect, planned out, logical. I'm thinking Aquarius, you know. Detach from that. Allow yourself just to tap into the creativity. Air is that element that is free flowing, so why contain it? Allow your downloads to come through. Clear the mind so that you can begin to get creative about whatever it is that you are being asked, you will be asked through all of this once you get through all the rubble of the obstruction from the full moon um, energy, cleared out of the way of what is going to be coming up for you. And again, a personal issue reaches resolution. So in this case, with the this one is actually the full moon in Cancer. So we have air, earth, fire, and water. We actually have all the elements here. So this is pretty well-rounded in the sense that you literally taking yourself through the whole elemental wheels um, cycle of experiences where you've had to navigate through a perspective, through a belief system, through the way you were seeing things for a while, through mental challenges, and letting the inner fire within you, new moon and Sagittarius, like on your side, be the reminder to keep going. Because as you do, and you go through the emotions. As you go through the hurdle that's been coming up, you get to the other side of the reward. A personal issue reaches resolution. And just going into that one a little bit more. The Moon in Cancer. Things are likely to get very heated as the full moon in Cancer is a super emotional sign. So there could be something of an explosion of feelings around now or surrounding your question. It's important to be sensitive to other people when you pull this card. There are some very fine sensibilities around the so tread carefully. Thread carefully. Navigate the situations as you move towards your goals or dreams. This card indicates an especially feminine time. It also heralds a time to deal with any family issues coming up. Nothing to worry about. It signals a challenge now is coming to an end. This card also suggests that both a domestic matter or private issue will soon come to a head, and that it's a great time to move house. The answer to your question lies in being a kind leader. This is a time for you to step up and agree to overcome your insecurities. It may be best to move towards what you want in a sideways manner. Might have to do things in a different way than you thought you had to, or initially thought you were going to. And additional meetings, meditate to soothe your heightened emotions. Don't be clingy. Stop sulking. Have you had enough family time lately? And the teaching goes that the heightened emotions of the moon Cancer combination can't be ignored. However, Cancer is one of the moon's two home signs along with Taurus. So, astrologically speaking, the moon loves to be in the sign. And so, this means that with this card, there's a sense that all as it should be. So, don't worry, all will soon be well. Now, it looks like that's your overall like message from the very beginning. It's like what you're going through. Don't fret it. Don't get lost in the minutia of what this card said earlier, the Eight of Needles, because you're going to go with luck on your side. To you're reaching your rewards, right? You're reaping the benefits of all that you've allowed yourself to experience. And sometimes it is uncomfortable for, say, one sign to really, in this case, it's the emotions, can be uncomfortable to face. But allow this full moon to bring up for you. The benefit of being an air sign is that your perspective can take like the flight of an eagle. You have the ability to step back. You have the ability to not be attached to everything or anything when you allow yourself to be given that space to. So while you can observe what's coming up and what's in front of you, while you can feel the emotions and the things that are coming up and all the frustrations, yet you also have the ability to detach from that. You know how to weave yourself through and navigate through it all. And so remember to apply that to whatever house is coming up, the message, whatever resonates for you. Welcome back, everyone. And this is the final reading for the Earth signs. So if you have a rising or sun in one of these three, we have Taurus, your full moon in Scorpio is in the 7th house. Virgo, your Scorpio will be in your 3rd house, and Capricorn energy is in the 11th house. And so as we take a look here, the first card that came up in terms of the tarot, great, it's actually 2 cards. They're both needles. All right, so let's see. When I had it out, I thought it was one card. So first one is the third of needles. So you have the heart passion, and needle energy is a metal or the air sign, mental state. And what is currently weighing on you? Or perhaps something that's been weighing on you and hitting home. And the card that was like right on top of it, so it drew together, is the Ace of Needles. So this new beginnings, right? New mindset, right? Or something starting in the mind realm, in the realm of the mind. Funny thing is that even as I look at it, since this was on top of that one, it's like you're threading something through. Maybe make a connection. But we can actually go and explore that a little bit more with the third of needles here. Since this is a air sign, this is a card of heartbreak, betrayal, and wounded feelings. If a situation is making you feel like needles are piercing your heart, take care of yourself, express yourself, and work through your feelings in healthy ways. This hurts now, but it won't forever. And so we have the Ace of Needles represents a major eureka moment. If you're feeling innovative and inspired, run with it. This is a time of mental breakthroughs and revolutionary clear insight. Make sure you jot down all your brilliant ideas. So even while things hurt, even while you're going through challenges that are weighing at your heart and feels like things are being pierced in, right? You're able to make that connection, is what I'm saying. And that's a good thing about the air sign. It's like I can stand outside with a bigger picture and I could thread through all these loopholes the interconnection of the experience of what's coming up and what has been coming up for me with the eclipse, with this full moon energy needing to be released and transformed. And so, as that is the overarching theme, your commitment is being tested, is your first card for the first quarter moon that we pulled from the Oracle deck, the Moonology. So, your commitment is being tested, which I find a couple of the readings talked about like passion and um, letting your internal flame be the guiding light for you, especially in situations like this, right? And sometimes it's like also the test and what you're experiencing is really to question, not the question, not the universe questioning you, but to test your integrity, to test, yeah, your level of commitment to the path, to the journey ahead, to the thing that you've been investing for yourself, or even the commitment to yourself. We have another air sign here, which is the new moon in Gemini. So communication is key, which is interesting because with, I'm just trying to get it here, um, the moon, Mercury in retrograde, Mercury being the sign air sign, mental state, and Gemini being the twins, communication, expressing yourself, expressing, maybe letting it out. Also, I find sometimes being an air sign myself, um, because it could get so heady oftentimes, especially like your downloads. Um, People learn differently, people integrate differently. So if you're someone who's like really in your head and you find yourself you're in that state, what's best oftentimes is to get those thoughts, the processes out of your mind and say it out verbally, or maybe write it down so you can again thread the needle, thread the needle. And sometimes also working with another person and experience yourself in situationships and spaces will help you to gain a perspective about yourself, about what the themes coming up for you to navigate yourself through. And then we have nothing is yet set in stone. And so it's the mutable moon. Hmm. And I find like if this is like the ending card, right, to help you to thread everything forward, it's like here you could see the waves, you could see the moon, the emotions, going with the flow. Like I was saying, sometimes we get so stuck in the heaviness of the head and the logic that if you were allow yourself to get your processes out, you're able to be mutable with your approach, right? Flexible in your approach. And as I take a look and see the amendment is being tested, which shows that, you know, the three of needles in the heart of what you've been going through. Communication is the key, is a step to the action for you to take. And then nothing is yet set in stone. So be flexible in approach, be open to what comes up. Again, maybe new ideas from where you've been standing at, so that you're not set in stone. So you're not set in stone so much so, again, earth sign, that you become rigid, unwilling to move, unwilling to try something new that could actually be helpful during this time. And wanting to expand more on the communication is key. New moon in Gemini here. So overall, we have air, and water emotion. And new moon in Gemini. So new moon in Gemini, where the communication is key. A successful relationship usually comes down to one thing: communication. The new moon in Gemini card is all about the start of a new cycle for communicating with the person at center of your question, center of your dilemma. Talking things through is the answer to whatever it is you're asking about. If you can't talk to the person, you can journal about it yourself. Emails, text messages, and all the forms of communication will also help you. So thinking back through Mercury, the medium communication. If the issue you're asking about concerns a sibling or a neighbor, there's a new start coming, a time to wipe the slate clean and start all over. This card could also suggest that you've been too frivolous lately and you need to get grounded. But most importantly, drawing this card emphasizes the need to communicate. Something needs to be communicated and expressed through you. Write a list of all the people you love most and see if you're prioritizing them. Additional meanings, time to tell someone how you feel. Don't be all your head and not in your heart. Don't let the situation also turn you cold or turn you, sometimes you want to dissociate from feeling experience. And really, it's only through until you allow yourself to feel and process that through the body that you're able to alchemize and transform what's going on. Read more books and someone's flirting with you. Mhm. Gemini is a sign of communication and socializing, of ideas and travel, and the energy around it. Around this card, no matter when you pull it, is speedy, gossipy, and flirtatious. The new moon in Gemini is a wonderful time to get out and socialize, and Geminis love to chat. Um, so maybe that's something that you could do. You know, communication is a two-way street, right? Or more than one party too. So maybe to get through what you've been experiencing also requires that moment where you let go and let loose, right? So your mind is not focused on the said thing. And especially if you can only see it through one particular lens. The new moon in Gemini, um, one thing to be aware of is that this card can also indicate being mentally scattered. Daily meditations can help to unscramble the crossed wires in your brain. And then I want to highlight that mutable moon here. So mutable moon. And what comes up. Mutable is all about change, shape shifting, even that something is still developing. This card indicates that something is indeed changing and there's room for maneuver. So take it as a sign that the situation you're asking about is far from finalized. The ending is not finite. If you're not happy with the current state of play that's there before you, it means you can still change the course of the outcome. And again, to see the thread. However, there's also a sense that the situation could possibly be a little bit unstable, perhaps. And for some, this is great news because you can still influence it. Others will struggle with the uncertainty, but should stay with it a little longer. Either way, nothing is set in stone. I'm thinking about the reading that we actually did in the air sign. Actually, you might want to go to that one because that actually kind of alludes to staying with a little bit longer theme. I know that the best will unfold for me is something you can say out loud and additional meanings. You're meandering towards your goal, and that's okay. So maybe you're treading slowly. Staying adaptable is the key to success for you right now. Make sure you're not being led astray. Have you become distracted? It's time to be focused. Stay with it, whatever it means to you. And in astrology, these, quadruplicities, the cardinal, the fixed, and the mutable signs are the Gemini, the Sagittarius, Virgo, and Pisces. And when the moon is in one of these signs, you know there's going to be more flexibility in a situation. So anytime you pull this card, it suggests that the opportunity to keep visualizing, affirming what you want, as there's still room for change. Think about what you want and enjoy the daydream. And I second that. The reading for the air signs probably will also add in to this one that you received today. And that is the message, the energy message overall for this full moon and what's been coming up. And then for the 4 signs that we went through. And finally, for support, as well as astrology readings and insight, feel free to go to divinecosmicjourney.com or find me over on IG divine.cosmic.empress. Send me a message, and I'd be more than happy to work with you. I actually would be really interested to see. This is my first time doing this type of reading. I wanted to explore in terms of the different elements and make it a little bit more personal to you. And feel free to comment down below. Let me know what came up for you, how it resonated, and if what other type of content you would like to see and hear from, especially because we have a lot of new subscribers. So thank you so much for your support. This is a space to really open up the spirituality, deep mystic teachings that I'm really passionate about. And happy full moon. Sat Nam.